Liberalization changed everything. Our work changed completely after the old national airline, LAN Chile, was privatized. The company expanded, and LAN is now a multinational. This brought us many problems.
Problems with pay, rest periods, and promotion for workers involved with the union. The company actively discriminates against the union and union members.
LAN has had some success in discouraging workers from joining the union. Workers are afraid of having contact with the union.
We would all like to have better job security, to feel free to express our opinion about what should change, to be happy working for LAN.
Most of us were working for Aero Peru and Aero Continente. There were mass layoffs when they went bankrupt. LAN then bought the rights to operate the routes and employed us. The situation became worse for us.
In 2001, VASP Ecuador had gone bankrupt. LAN came in. Cabin crew workers who lost their jobs had to take the jobs they were offered, even though the conditions were very unfavorable.
LAN came to our country during the crisis and took advantage of the bankruptcy of several smaller companies and the weakness of Aerolíneas Argentinas. LAN had no experience with a unionized workforce, and we clashed with the company right from the start.
The unions were strong, so the company had to negotiate, even though it continued its anti-union policy. In order to weaken the cabin crew union, it helped to create a union that did not have official legal recognition and was therefore unable to sign a collective agreement.
When LAN arrived, they introduced a career plan that left the most senior workers at the bottom of the scale. They took away our right to tickets and changed our meals. Our only meal in a 12-hour shift is a sandwich with French fries and fruit juice.
The company began to put a lot of pressure on the workers who wanted to organize. One was fired, and they relieved the rest of us of our positions overnight. They did this to try and stop workers from joining the union.
In Paraguay, we are very concerned. It is hard to organize because workers are afraid of what the company might do to them.
In order for LATAM to continue growing into a reliable and safe airline, I think it is important that all its employees have good working conditions in all the countries in which the company operates.
Nowadays, we see that pay and working conditions vary too much from one country to another. To change this situation, LAN workers throughout the continent began meeting.
To start getting to know each other, share experiences about the company, and analyze how we can work together to improve our working conditions.
In 2001, the ITF invited us to participate in regional seminars to alert us about the deregulation of civil aviation.
These meetings generated lots of ideas. We began to understand how civil aviation was changing and the new context in which we were working.
And there we met colleagues and began to make contacts.
In 2005, when LAN's Peruvian workers formed its unions, a group of colleagues from Chile and Argentina went to support them.
This support was very important for us. It was the network's first activity, though the network was only formalized later.
Then the ITF's organizing globally strategy provided the impetus to form a union network within LAN.
That's how we met for the first time in June 2008 in Chile. At first, it was only the unions in Chile and Argentina. The truth is that it wasn't easy because there was a lot of distrust.
However, we realized we could find things in common beyond our differences. For example, it was very useful to see the contents of collective agreements in another country.
The second meeting was in Peru, and there we began to talk more seriously about the significance of organizing.
Organizing is many things, but the key point is to generate more active participation in the union. It is this participation that gives us our strength. We are vulnerable on our own, but not if we are organized.
The first step was to analyze the company, its expansion and business strategy.
We analyzed where we had contact with its employees, whether they were unionized, how the relations were between unions in each country, and what the relations were like between the unions and their members.
We tried to get a clear picture of how to extend our network by including more land workers in other countries.
We began to make contact with workers in Brazil and Ecuador, where the company had a very aggressive stance.
We could estimate then how many employees LAN had, in what sectors, their trade union representation, and problems.
It became clear that we all had one problem in common. LAN spends a lot of resources in keeping its employees away from the unions.
It uses different tactics in each country. Sometimes it is aggressive. Sometimes it promotes an image of being an ideal company in which its employees do not need a union.
In order to achieve things together, we needed to have representative unions in all countries.
In order to have representative unions, it was crucial to build communication networks based on personal contact. It was this one-on-one grassroots work that helped us to get to know each other personally and to establish the trust necessary to create a strong, compact unit.
It's a job that involves listening, overcoming the fear and apathy of our fellow workers, predicting how the company would react, planning and arriving at a consensus when making decisions.
At first, there were 6 of us, and we spent a lot of time talking to our colleagues one by one, wherever they were, until we had 300 workers who knew what we wanted to do with the union, what our rights as workers were, and how to achieve them.
In Chile, we achieved unity at the grassroots level that made the union more representative. Therefore, we were able to improve our negotiating position with the company.
We were successful. We improved our conditions, and this helped us a lot. For the first time, workers felt as though they were really participating. They voted. It was a new experience for us.
The work of a dispatcher has improved since 2007 because of the union. Consequently, workers have come to trust the union. They're now committed and loyal and aware of the importance of trade unions.
We had to work hard, but the company finally recognized our union as representing the land cabin crew. This allowed us to obtain pay raises for all land workers for 3 consecutive years.
The work carried out by the network has helped us to increase the number of union members and to take solidarity action with other unions in the sector against anti-union and discriminatory dismissals.
Cabin crews are now united in the ACAV, and we are negotiating our first collective agreement. We are resisting the company's offer, which would involve leaving the union.
It's clear that the network has brought improvements everywhere, and LAN is responding.
In Ecuador, the company fired 80 workers, most of whom were committed to the union. We still do not have a collective agreement. Workers are afraid, and managers pressure them to join company-sponsored associations. We have to work hard to get workers to participate.
We had succeeded in signing up 100% of LAN Peru's dispatchers, but the membership rate has fallen to 85% since the company introduced temporary contracts. Moreover, most ground staff and administrative workers have not joined the union.
In Colombia, only cabin crews and pilots are organized so far. We need to extend organization to include all sectors and also fight for job security for the area's employees who have not yet been recruited by LAN Colombia.
We need to make contact with workers in the rest of the country who are not in a union and ensure job security for TAM Argentina workers in the merger with LAN.
Chilean unions face a major challenge because we are dealing with a company that was originally Chilean, and this gives us an enormous responsibility.
We have to really focus on this merger and work hard to ensure that LATAM guarantees job security for its workers and accepts current agreements and conditions. Our network is a crucial tool for maintaining our conditions and improving them further.
These meetings strengthen the relations between participants. This is how we are building the network. We now have a different attitude if we know that the company is harming the interests of colleagues in another country. This is what we mean by solidarity built from the bottom.
The network is even experiencing new problems, which we have to learn to deal with, always focusing on what unites us rather than what our differences are.
It is important that we think of the network as something that transcends us, something that will continue operating in the future when we are no longer here, because we know the company will still be here in 20 or 30 years. I would be happy if the work we have begun benefits future employees of the company.
Y tal vez podamos servir de inspiración para los trabajadores.
Maybe we can inspire workers in other airlines and other sectors of the transport industry.
Para que vean que es posible.
And encourage them to get organized, improve conditions, and strengthen their unions.
Y seguir aprendiendo.
We can continue learning from each other and gradually build the power that we workers need in this globalized economy.
With unions in all countries taking joint action, sharing information, and strengthening our links with each other.
Unions are today facing unprecedented challenges, and we have to be creative in our response. The only limit is our own imagination.
With the support of workers throughout the continent, we're fighting back and building a single South American force.
All the unions are now globally aware and think differently about how to deal with the challenges.
Let's keep on growing in the ITF. Let's be part of something big.